Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Wednesday, March 28th, 2012, and I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and on YouTube it's ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. All the headlines and links will be posted in YouTube's video description, so please check those out. First article I have up, and this is news that's just been kind of backed up, and I wasn't able to get to some stuff on Monday due to technical issues, so either way, this first one I have up is a dangerous and bizarre Obama nominee for World Bank Prez. Sorry, I'm sure many of you have already heard about this, but I just thought I would just throw it in there. Said it should be noted that Kim has zero financial background, which in itself may not be a bad thing, since it means that he's not a regime bankster, but his credentials suggest that Obama sees some kind of global social health program along the lines of Obamacare with the World Bank as a key player. Kim has been a professor of medicine and social medicine and chair of the Department of Global Health and Social Medicine at Harvard Medical School. What's social medicine? Well, Wikipedia explains it well. The field of social medicine seeks to understand how social and economic conditions impact health, disease, and the practice of medicine, and foster conditions in which the understanding can lead to a healthier society. Translation, it's about central planning for the medical industry or pharma complex. It will crush creativity in medicine and lead to declining life expectancy around the globe, which is the goal of the eugenicists, but they'll say it's to help raise the standard of living, i.e. with vaccinations and Planned Parenthood and nice GMO rice and food. It says here, World Bank nominee tied to Monsanto, shareholder Bill Gates and Soros. Obama nominated Dartmouth University president Mr. Kim to head the United Nations World Bank. Most people think that the United Nations agencies benefit poor people, but this is far from the truth. It goes on here, says that the bank claims to fight poverty in developing nations by financing infrastructure projects, but it's really a tool to acquire third world nations' resources through their conditions on loans that are extremely difficult to repay. The raw resources are then privatized by insider multinational corporations. The World Bank actually creates more poverty. The nomination of Kim indicates that the World Bank may shift away from focusing on infrastructure and will instead turn toward providing healthcare or death care, eugenics, in third world countries. It says that these areas of interest include vaccines for tuberculosis as well as drugs for HIV and AIDS. And it makes sense because you have this. Sub-Saharan Africans join forces for tuberculosis TB vaccine research. Researchers in Sub-Saharan Africa are playing a key role in the development of a new TB vaccine following South Africa's lead. A meeting in Johannesburg heard last week, March 20th. It says here, Kim says that the highest point in his career was when George Soros donated to Kim's tuberculosis vaccine program, which was followed by a huge grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for $44.7 million. Let's not forget that Bill Gates has repeatedly stated that Monsanto's GMOs are the answer to starvation, despite scientific proof of the contrary, given a controversial speech saying basically they want to bring the population down through Planned Parenthood and vaccines. Okay, so moving on here with the economy, feeding the homeless banned in major cities all over America. You may remember this, but I reported on it in New York City, but it's actually happening in other cities as well. It's really a crying shame, but it does kind of go in line with the system that we're in and that we're going into. Philadelphia, Major Nutter recently banned feeding homeless people in many parts of Philadelphia where homeless people are known to congregate. And moving on here, we have Orlando. Last June, a group of activists down in Orlando, Florida, were arrested by police for feeding the homeless in defiance of a city ordinance. Then again in Houston, a group of Christians were recently banned from distributing food to the homeless, and they were told that they probably would not be granted a permit to do so in the future, even if they applied for one. So even if they applied for one, it doesn't really matter. They're not going to be able to do it. Dallas as well restricts the ability of individuals and ministries to feed the homeless. Las Vegas a few years ago, Sin City said here that it became the first major U.S. city to specifically pass a law banning the feeding of homeless people. Then again, like I said before, New York City, they actually created food police. Bloomberg administration or regime is now taking the term food police to new desks, blocking food donations to all government-run facilities that serve the city's homeless. Next up, we have homeowner 80 charged in shooting of burglar. Unjust that I cannot protect me, which is his own property or his property. So an 80-year-old tavern owner in Inglewood, believes it is unjust that he's facing charges after shooting a burglar, but believes he will prevail in court. He said it's wrong. And goes on and he says that the 75-year-old wife of his confronted a 19-year-old burglar who had broken through some plywood over the bathroom window in hopes of stealing liquor, according to police. He said Wright grabbed his .38 caliber pistol loaded with 4 rounds and shot the intruder in the leg. So he shot him in the leg. And he's still going to go to jail, right? The suspect was arrested, but so was Wright. Because of prior weapons convictions, Wright was charged with unlawful use of weapons, sparking calls by his family neighbors for prosecutors to back down. And this goes back to the whole felony scam. For some reason, if you offend the government and you get a certain class of misdemeanor or you get a felony, you lose your rights to pick up a stick and defend yourself. Well, I only use that term spear because that's how I see it. That's how stupid the argument is, that you can't defend yourself. Even if you offended the government and they slap a felony on you, all of a sudden you can't defend yourself. I mean, it's just so stupid. But it's not stupid. It's a very, very intelligent policy to have, to disarm your slaves, especially when they're getting more poor and they can't feed their families. Minnesota man thrown in jail, and especially when there's other slaves kind of just robbing other ones and going in their houses trying to steal their property. Minnesota man thrown in jail for failing to put up siding on his home. And I'm covering this because I know most of you have already heard of it. It's just ridiculous. Like I said, this is the system that we're in, where we're heading to. It's only going to get worse. But it says here that he always intended, this Minneapolis man always intended to finish the project, but that he ran into a financial trouble when the economy took a turn. So this is similar, similar to the story with the woman who was trying to put plants and that on her condo, outside her condo on her deck, and they kept harassing her with letters and threats and stuff like that. In order to comply, Faber and his wife spent $12,000 to put stucco facade over the house's plywood exterior. Wasn't enough. Last November, Faber was arrested after city inspectors concluded the work wasn't up to code. So again, like Obama gives a shit about Trayvon or black people, he doesn't. And you think the city gives a crap about your health? They don't. These codes don't sit there to protect you. They're there to shake you down like a mafia, like a group of thugs, in case you do it's everything. It's criminalized everything. Everything that you do, especially with business. You try to do your house, you got to have a permit for that. Keep moving here. Banking services withdrawn. Madrid escorts declare sex war. It says here Madrid's high-class escorts have found a way to regulate the Spanish banking sectors. The ladies want to have their say in the economy by withholding sexual pleasures from bank employees. The largest trade association for luxury escorts in the Spanish capital has gone on a general and indefinite strike on sexual services for bankers until they go back to providing credits to Spanish families, small and medium-sized enterprises, and companies. Then we have study says bankruptcy filings in the U.S. are on the rise. New research from economists at Columbia University and University of Chicago and Washington University in St. Louis reveals that bankruptcy filings in the United States actually increased after Americans received tax refunds. It says here it costs money to file for bankruptcy, and many Americans could not afford to pay the average of $1,400 in fees necessary, writes The Economist, conducting the research. Next up, where is the unemployment rate headed? Interactive mapping lets you set the parameters and plot the graph. You can go in there and check it out. Like I said, links will be posted. Said here that in the last year, civilian population rose by 3 million, yet the labor force only rose by 1.5 billion. Says those not in the labor force rose by 2 billion. And it goes on and it says that in February, those not in the labor force decreased by 300,000, and if you're not in the labor force, you're not counted as unemployed. So were it not for people dropping out of the labor force, the unemployment rate would be well over 11%. So over the past several years, people have dropped out of the labor force at an astounding, almost unbelievable rate, holding the unemployment rate artificially low. The author here says neither the housing boom nor the commercial real estate boom is coming back, nor is there going to be another internet revolution. It says using those thoughts and whatever else you wish to decide how many jobs the economy will realistically add per month for the next several years. You can factor in a recession or not. It's up to you. Assets of 10 biggest banks equal half of U.S. GDP. The nation's largest banks, with combined holdings equal to half of the U.S. economy, represents a clear and present danger and must be broken up. This alarmist conclusion is not the work of a consumer advocate or liberal critic of Wall Street. No, this assessment comes out of Dallas, Texas, and the local arm of the Federal Reserve. Bernanke claims that the Fed has averted a second Great Depression by bailing out the too-big-to-fail banks. During his lecture to students on Tuesday, Bernanke stated the following, quote, "I think the view is increasingly gaining acceptance that without the forceful policy response that stabilized the financial system in '08 and '09, we could have had a much worse outcome in the economy. So what did forceful policy response entail?" So it goes on here, and it basically says that hundreds of small and mid-sized U.S. banks failed during the financial crisis. I don't know if you guys remember that. And then the actual FDIC needed to get bailed out. They said they were almost about to get bailed out because they were running out of funds. So even if a crisis really did strike again, they wouldn't be able to handle it. That's why it's all a joke. It's all a scam. And it kind of goes in line with what? These too big to fail banks are the ones that actually got the help, and these little ones went out of business. And but we came to learn what? That actually the United States taxpayers were bailing out banks in Europe. So Atlantic magazine cover proclaims Ben Bernanke the hero. So he's a hero for doing that. If you're looking for the most nauseating cover possible on Ben Bernanke, please consider in the April 2012 issue of The Atlantic. The cover asks the question, Ben Bernanke saved the rigged global economy, so why does everyone hate him? Home prices fall to 2002 levels. The housing market started the new year with a thud. Home prices dropped for the fifth consecutive month in January, reaching their lowest point since the end of 2002. Home prices have fallen a whopping 34% from the peak set in July 2006. Housing has a chance to bottom, but suburban prices may not recover in our lifetime. That is Robert Shiller, professor of economics at Yale University, who is quoted as saying that. Then next up, grim future predicted for baby boomer generation as millions approach 65th birthday. Their pensions are being wrecked by attempts by the Treasury and the Bank of England to get the UK economy on track, right? Whatever, that's what they tell them. But it says here, budget last week hammered another blow when they scrapped a higher personal allowance for over 65s, leaving many as much as £300 a year worse off. Young consumers pinched their pennies, and I hate this term. Millennials were supposed to be the next golden ticket for retailers. Oh man, they just look at them as consumers, as data, statistic, numbers. So they said with all the technology like Facebook and tweets, it says here comes the millennials, and we're going to have an awesome time selling them crap that they don't really need, that's overpriced and made in China or Indonesia, right? It says here no group was hit harder by the Great Recession or the great banker siphoning of wealth, the world's wealth, than the millennials. Their careers are stalled. They hold a record level of education debt. An estimated 24% have moved back home with their parents at least once, according to a Pew Research poll. So check this out. It goes on and says that 23% of millennials say they don't have enough cash to pay for the basic necessities. 45% reduce their driving compared to those that are older. And of course, this is all part of the green economy. This is about austerity. This is really about poverty and getting used to poverty. So drop in net worth from 84 to 2009 was 68%. Healthcare, 39% estimated to be without health insurance. Of course, debt is up, and then the credits will be issued eventually. They go to a complete cashless system. But it says here, 22% 18 to 34-year-olds who have to put off having a baby due to financial worries. Again, this is economic warfare and social engineering. So as all of this is happening, we're moving into what? This period of selling stuff off, infrastructure, and that. David Cameron unveils plan to sell off the roads. And we have new age of pay-to-drive. Motorists face more tolls under plans to lease the roads. Indian call centers selling your credit card details and medical records for just £2. UK energy bills to soar by 70% by 2020. Then we have petrol prices hit another record high. That's, of course, in the UK. Moving on here, national average for gasoline in the United States is $3.90. So there's all these reasons for why it's gone up, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. Actually, I came across someone at the gas station yesterday who said, and I was complaining about how it went up almost 300, 400% in the last decade, and they're like, oh, just damn Obama. He's like, 17-year-old, damn Obama, blah, 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 we need to bomb Libya, and I'm like, I just kind of like shook my head and walked out, of the store. But let's blame Iran. Obama blames Iran for higher gas prices. Americans angry with Obama over gas prices due to Iran. So try to slap some new sanctions on. Then we have an Italian oil company finds a giant gas find in Mozambique. London company confirms major find off coast of Ghana. Then significant oil discovery in Liberia. We have oil found in Kenya by Anglo-Irish firm. And as oil exploration takes place in Somalia, UK mercenaries are sent to Somalia. Don't worry, Ireland may join fight against the Somali pirates as well. This is GGN. Thank you.